So what we need to do is we need to just start pretending like we didn't just take 3 months off. Just right back.
It's been a minute.
Jump right back into it.
Welcome to the Inquiry Theory.
Yeah.
Good talking to you guys yesterday.
As we were totally uploading regularly on our regular schedule twice a week.
Yeah.
For the last 3 months. Was it been 3 months? I think it's been 3 months.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yep. But we're back and we're here. We're here to talk about stuff, bullshit, talk smack about the UK. No, that was that's what we've been doing for so long. I just feel like that's the MO for the last 4 episodes.
They've definitely been a subject.
They've been a very strong subject. But yeah, at the time recording this, I haven't, dude. I'll say this: I have kind of just not been following a lot of stuff because it's just we've been busy and it is mentally draining.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I think you were touching on this the last couple of times when we were recording, as you kept saying, or you'd bring up, you're like, well, in the sphere we're in online, the chronically online individuals, those on Twitter, those on, I'm never going to call it X, those on Twitter, those on Facebook, all that stuff like that. You see all these things and it makes you think all these things are happening. But if you're out in the world, it's it's not really there. It is, but not really, because you're not constantly being surrounded by it.
No, 100%. The way I look at it is, we can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
So we, politicians, for example, we vote them in, we elect them to do the job. And then I feel like we recently with social media and everything, it's easier to follow what they're doing. So we're more stressed about what they're doing, where in the past people would just elect them, trust them to do what they elected them to do. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like a double-edged sword too, though, because at the same time now we can hold them a little bit more accountable.
Yeah.
Or we feel like we can, but we really can't. But you know what I mean? We're just more aware of everything that's going on.
So well.
Right. We're just more aware of everything that's going on. So it's just more stressful for us when it, shouldn't be, because we really can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? People are always stressing about Trump. I'm like, well, dude, he's in office. He's not leaving. 2 more years. You just got to deal with it. You know what I mean? And the same thing, for anybody who didn't like Biden when he was in office, he's out of office now. You know what I mean? So it's what I'm trying to say, I guess, is in real time nowadays, it just seems to me like it's more stressful just because everything's a little bit more, everything's in your face a little bit more. Now, granted, a couple of my algorithms that's all I see is a lot of political stuff, just because of this podcast. So I don't know how everybody else is, but I don't know.
Well, so there have been more studies coming out. New studies have come out. Well, not newer in the last couple of years that show that that there is definitely with how the exposure, I would say, to politics on social media feeds and being more involved in or not involved, but like you said, it's you're wading through it. You're constantly being bombarded by it. A lot of people try to avoid it, and if you're someone who can cultivate an algorithm that shows you nothing political and it's all, I think we've talked about before, just kittens and cat videos and stuff like that,
right.
Hats off to you. But most people, their algorithm kind of gets tailored and fed political feeds, especially on certain platforms. I think Twitter's probably a huge one. I think Twitter's probably, I don't have any study that shows this, but the Twitter's probably mostly political stuff. I'm sure there's insulated spheres where people don't allow that in, and so they've cultivated this small community of where they don't have to deal with it. But I'm sure a lot of people, whether you want to or not, you'll see politics on there. But some of these studies show that basically it's studies done by, Brown University. Basically that it being more political engagement, it doesn't necessarily cause the bad mood, but it leads to more emotional instability. And it basically, it's a larger swing between the positive and negative emotions. I almost would attribute that to kind of how we've become so polarized to where sports is almost like a team, like a sports team now. We really treat sport or politics like it's a sport now. And
no, it's an interesting analogy. Yeah, I agree.
It just feels like that because it's I can't as someone who's not really that much into sports, I have
Mhm.
a few teams I like. That's about it. But I'm not really like that involved in it. I see. To me, it looks like a lot of parallels between the way people talk about politics, the way people talk about sports. We did this, they did that, and it's like, well, did you sign a bill? No, it's no we. It's the side that you seem to kind of align with has done this.
Right.
You didn't have any involvement in that besides maybe voting them in, but even then, it's like, come on. So it's like, or it's like, oh, our sports team won. My sports team won. We won.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything except sit there and get drunk and trying to throw hands in the bleachers. Like,
Right,
I
right.
mean, so, yeah, these studies are showing that it's basically following the news more. Well, here's the thing: it doesn't. This quick little synopsis doesn't really describe and we should probably dig more into it, but it's basically just saying there's a general correlation between greater exposure and more frequent exposure to politics and news. Now, that doesn't necessarily say
Correlation with what?
increase to stress and anxiety.
Hmm.
Now, that to me, just right there, without digging too deep into that, to me, I think of that as probably, people feeling kind of like hopeless with the news. Like, it's all doom and gloom. And it's like, of course, you're going to have greater stress and anxiety when you're constantly like, oh no, the world's ending. Like, and then you go outside and everything's fine.
Right.
So I also think there's, well, I want to know your thought on this. What's your thought on this political landscape that's been cultivated? Do you think that this is a not generic, kind of like this came about by itself, or do you think it's been cultivated by politicians and by sides and parties, and they've tried basically like almost like raising the stakes, like they're trying to get people involved, like activism. They're trying to get people on the side. And so like, what's the greatest way to get someone motivated to do something, make them feel like the world's ending, they need to fix it, like I'm muddying words here, but basically my point is, do you think this is like a natural organic development with just having social media, or do you think that this division we're seeing has been kind of like created and cultivated, and it's, instead of being a byproduct of just having more access, like the internet, instead of it just being a byproduct, it's like a cultivated thing that we're seeing, like a weapon, almost like a psyop, I don't know, like something.
Oh, I definitely think it's cultivated. I mean, like I've said before, if you go like I work in the public sphere, so I interact with a bunch of different people daily, with from all sorts of walks of life and all different political opinions and stuff. And I mean, everybody for the most part gets along, and so with that being said, yeah, I think it's definitely cultivated. I think that if you were to just
now, real quick, do they get along in the context of which, they're at work or you're seeing them out in public and they're being kind of, do you think it's a normal get along, or do you think they're kind of like putting up that face because they're at work or whatever? Like, do you think that they would actually be as pleasant with the people around them and people with different opinions if they weren't there at work? Or it's hard to
I mean,
hard to say,
a good question. Yeah. I mean, that is hard to say. I mean, I definitely feel like more tension, I feel like, than I did in the past, but I'm also getting older and I'm also a little bit more aware of things that I didn't really care about when I was younger. You know what I mean? So that could be part of it too. But that doesn't, to the original question, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious that division, is cultivated. They're trying to keep, the American public, divided and thinking about the things that, if they really got down to it and tried to work together, Congress, the Senate, the president could fix a lot of the issues that, they are using to divide people. Does that make sense? So I see a lot of videos of like these committee hearings, these congressional committee hearings where they're interviewing different CEOs or different heads of state, whatever like that, and it's always like,
I hate this.
It's so obnoxious, dude. Yeah, they're so bad, and I'm like, if that's really how you guys are conducting yourselves, it doesn't even seem like you're trying to come to some sort of agreement on anything. It's just like either personal attacks or attacks against
dodging questions,
dodging questions or
yeah.
like leading questions. It doesn't seem like they're actually trying to get anything done.
Like,
Does that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the school bus
But-
question where it's like, do your parents know you're gay?
Right,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
they're asking
well,
questions where it's like, it's you're screwed no matter how you answer it. So then you spend the entire 5 minutes you have trying not to answer it, and then people are pissed that you're not answering. But then also people are pissed because it's a bad question, and it's the whole thing's all of that stuff to me just seems like it's a big chess game for no reason if we were actually trying to solve things.
That's my point exactly. Yeah, I mean like I said, I feel like if they were actually trying to solve the problems that we have, then they would be able to. You know what I mean? It's the most powerful country on Earth, the most successful country on Earth, and we still can't get shit done. You know what I mean? And but they're still doing things. They still pass laws and stuff. And I lost my train of thought real quick. Damn it.
Well, with the laws being passed, it to me, and one thing I wanted to ask a couple, a minute ago, but I wanted you to finish your thought was, do you think that you're saying they're dividing in the division? Do you think the division is the end all be all? Like that is their ultimate goal is the division, or do you think the division is being used as a tool to get something else?
I think could be both. I think it's being used to, distract us. So, there's been a couple of Congress people who have come out and said, maybe Senate people too, I don't know, that they've said straight up that politicians will not try to fix issues so they can run on them in the future. You know what I mean? That's like, there's been
I think it's pretty
Congress people quoted saying that. You know what I mean?
And
so
it's
like
obvious
that just,
when anyone pays attention to
right,
it.
exactly.
Like,
you know what I mean? So like what are we really doing? Like what are they really here for us? Like some of them maybe, but the vast majority of them I feel like are influenced by corporations. I feel like corporations really run most things. Yeah.
I think it's personal wealth, greed.
Yeah, I feel like the ultra wealthy are really in control. I feel like the actual government is just doing their bidding.
So do you think
if you look big picture and boil down to it, I think that's what's really going on.
You think it could just be basically different lobby groups
100%.
pushing?
Yeah, because that's that's why I think term limits. Like we've talked about it before. I think term limits are a good idea, are important. I feel like there's people that have been in office for too long and who keep getting reelected because they keep getting the most money from the lobbyists who have been donating to them for decades. You know what I mean? And they keep donating because they are aligned with whatever the lobbyists want.
Yeah. And it's difficult because then the other side, the sides then attempt to use that to weaponize against like, oh, see what they're doing?
Right.
And it's like, okay, but you're also like your side's also doing it.
Well, yeah.
So it's everyone's doing it.
Like,
why don't we pass legislation to just kind of get past this completely?
One of the easiest ones to see is the energy sector, right? You got the Republicans who are generally backed by oil and coal, natural gas, whatever, and you got the Democrats who are backed by the solar wind companies, all that stuff. The go green. It's still the same thing. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Come on, nuclear, get in there, back somebody.
Well, they just passed some sort of thing. I just saw it today, actually, that they passed some sort of thing to do with new nuclear power plants.
Good.
Yeah.
They need to. That's, yeah.
But you know what I mean? I mean, that's just an obvious...
Yeah. Well,
obvious example.
This is stuff I just get down. I like to kind of dig into because you always hear like the surface level stuff of, oh, they're trying to divide us. They're trying to divide us. Okay, to what end? And it's never like when you're hearing the clips and when you're hearing people talk about this stuff, it's like, oh, they're breeding this division and then they gloss over and move on to the next thing. It's like, okay, but to what end is the division? And I see it as yes, they're trying to divide, but they're trying to divide to be able to justify and maintain power or gain power and control for the reasons you just explained, was to get into office, to then not pass legislation, to then run on again because they're being paid for by under the table lobbyists or stuff like that. Both sides, everyone, to then or make trades or like do the insider trading, do all that crap. So it's like, it's at the end of the day, like this is where it's like I like listening. I like listening to the people who are like, it's the elites versus the working man. And I agree on some level, but then they always take it like the next step, and it's like they're all bad. It's I always like those arguments because I think they're on the right path in terms of like politicians and per se, and the majority of politicians, and but then they never seem to take it to the next step of pointing out like who or why or how or what or like anything else. They just go, it's the rich versus the poor, rah rah, tax rich, screw rich, and I'm like, okay, but like I'm getting lost in my train of thought here. But basically, my point being is like I kind of agree with that a little bit, not entirely, not completely. But I definitely think the energy is in the right direction in terms of like bringing into question of like the class warfare. That's kind of what I was looking for. Is like,
Yeah.
it's like they refocus the division that's being spent between Republicans and Democrats, or those are. I'm gonna be honest. I think Republican and Democrats it's kind of an outdated term. I think it's more right or left now, or liberal conservative. I know they're not. Those are not the same thing. They're all different. But I think that those I hear in the modern political sphere, liberal and conservative more so than Democrat Republican.
Yeah.
It seems like those have kind of eclipsed the parties, and those values and tendencies are kind of more of what people focus on.
I think it's the labels are so stupid anyway. You got 4 words to describe everyone's feelings about everything. Like,
yeah, well, that's the all or nothing politics. It's the single issue voting.
It's so stupid to me because everything is so nuanced that the fact that you can have 4 words that describe every single person in America is just ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? But like all that stuff is silly, and that's another way that they divide. Like you were talking about, we're on teams. You know what I mean? It's like a sports team. You know what I mean? That's just another way that
political tribalism.
The media is a big part of it too, because they're the ones using the words and stuff.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to get to, we're kind of a little bit kind of on that. What I originally was alluding to was kind of like not being in that sphere was very like refreshing for that little bit of time because we had a lot going on. I know you took a trip or two. A lot happened in your life. I've just been busy, just dad lifing. So it's like, it's not being 100% like involved in looking at the politics, following what's going on was so refreshing. But one thing I hate is when people go, well, we can't, it must be nice. That's a privileged position to not be able to care about the politics going on. And that to me is just, I don't know. I don't like that position.
Somebody said that to you?
No, but I see that a lot when people when people talk about that stuff. And I kind of get what they're saying where it's like, oh, you don't, but at the same time, like we said earlier, I feel like the person believes that because they're being used to sow division, or they've been ideologically captured, and they believe that the other side is the enemy and evil, and they're trying to get them. So it's like, I don't think that there's any actual group in this country that is actually like facing real persecution, like in terms of like systemic oppression. And so when people go make that claim, they're like, oh, you're just a white male, or you're just X, you don't have to worry about politics, must be nice. It's like, I don't think there's anyone in this country that truly has to worry about that. Like truly, like
I agree.
Your life, like if this bill passes, you're going to die, or if this bill passes XYZ. And Opus Clips is going to clip this, and then when we post it on TikTok, I'm going to get so many comments about that statement because it's taken out of context. But basically, my point being is like, yes, I understand when people go, what about this right? What about this right? Oh, women's access to this is being attacked, or oh, racial discrimination is happening. And once again, I still don't believe that there's any sort of systemic oppression going on. I do believe that there's oppression going on, and there's bad circumstances, and there's people who do have the shit end of the stick, and I do believe that's still happening. But I don't think that's happening at a like governmental law level.
I agree. I
think it's all person based. Like
100%.
There's still racism in this country. There's 100% racism.
Still
in this
racism.
country.
There's still oppression for sure.
There's still all that, but it's not. It's not the government. It's not the law. If it's happening within a corporation, that's illegal. that should be dealt with. If it's happening in your personal life, that person's a racist and a horrible person. I'm not saying those people don't exist, but there's not a system in place that's basically making that the law.
No, 100%.
So
I agree. Like the whole systemic oppression and systemic racism thing, I think, is just a talking point again for politicians to run on and get elected over. You know what I mean? I don't really feel like that's actually the thing. Like you said, it's person to person. I mean, that's why I, as a boss, as a leader of, an employer of people, I try to give everybody, equal opportunity. That's all. It's really all. And I feel like that's there. You know what I mean? But it depends on the person. Like, is there somebody else who could be doing my job that does the opposite and, either picks favorites or, bases their,
Oh, I'm sure it happens. I'm sure there are racist bosses.
Right. But to your point, it's depends on the person. It's not the system. You know what I mean? So I 100% agree.
Yeah. Like, there's no system that's saying that someone of a certain color or gender or whatever can't be in the position you were in, or be, promoted or be whatever. There's nothing in there that's saying that.
Right.
It's
up to the individual.
There could be people in the higher up positions that do take that into consideration. Now, there are laws that's not supposed to happen. But
sure, I mean, it's easier to.
Yeah, it's not supposed to happen, but I'm not naive enough to say that never happens. But that is not a failure of the system.
Right.
That is a failure of individual, and that person is not a good person.
Right.
And it's the system isn't sitting there doing that.
Right. And another thought I had is kind of goes into that, I think people are looking for the perfect world, the perfect society, which is never going to be achievable. You know what I mean? They're looking for, everything to be perfect for everybody,
Well,
and it could be achievable, but
before that, real quick, I think what they're focusing on when you have politicians who are kind of shifting blame.
I'm not saying politicians, I'm saying people.
No. Yeah. Well, real quick, before getting to that, because I do want to talk about that. But before that, one thing I wanted to say is, like, I think that what we're seeing with a lot of political parties, examples of this being Donald Trump talking to middle-class Americans and going, the reason things have been so bad is not your fault. The reason, if you for Rust Belt workers or, stuff like that, where it's it's like, oh, you've been screwed by companies leaving and blah, 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 all these things. And while, yes, there's a degree of truth to those, it's also, it's shirking. It's a nice thing to say to get people to think that, it's not my fault. It's not my fault I am where I am because of my actions, but because of something I can't control has screwed me. And the left saying oh, X is discriminated against in the workplace, that's why you're not getting these positions or whatever. It's whatever it is it's where I think the bigger problem we're seeing in this culture is a lack of responsibility for actions and for taking personal responsibility of where you are. It's because that's the easy thing to do. It's easy to sit there and blame some boogeyman behind a curtain for why you're not a CEO of a company or why, oh, you got passed up for that promotion. It's it's easy to go, well, I didn't get that promotion because of my skin color. It's I mean, is that impossible? It's not impossible. It's not very likely, but it's not impossible. But at the same time, dwelling on that and sitting on that and using that to then allow yourself to not then go out and seek other employment or better yourself in some other ways is more detrimental, I think, than just kind of going, hey, you know what? I didn't get it. It sucks. Let me try this. Let me try that. Let me do something else. But it's that excuse. It's these politicians give a lot of excuses to people for why they're in the situations they're in. And that's great. Excuses feel great. They feel amazing. I'm gonna be honest.
They make you feel better about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, it's not me. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah. And I think our society's lacking a lot of that responsibility now. We've kind of, in the last, I don't know how long, since I've been alive, but decades, we've lost that personal responsibility as a country. People are shifting away from that into victimhood. And we saw that a lot in the 20 teens. a 2010s era of a lot of victimhood and victim mentality. And
yeah, man. What's that? It's a famous quote. I don't even know who said it. And I'm going to paraphrase it for the, to make sure that we include everybody in it. But it's like strong people create good times create weak people create bad times.
Bad times create strong people. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Circular
like it's a full
thing.
circle, and we're in the, weak people create bad times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least what it seems like. I don't think the times are that bad, but then again,
not.
I'm a white dude, so I'm part of the problem.
You are the problem. Solely. You're solely the issue.
No, my life, I feel like there are things I want out of life that seem unattainable at the moment, but I'm not going to stop trying to attain them. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, so it's like, they seem unattainable, but I'm not going to be like, oh, they're unattainable because the system's broken. I can't get there. So screw everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to do what I think I need to do to get what I want.
The personal responsibility.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the personal responsibility thing actually hits kind of hard for me because I, is a convicted felon. You know what I mean? Went to jail. Got
I didn't bring
out.
it up. I didn't bring it up.
I mean,
Wasn't me.
but it's like it's
breaking the trend here. I'm supposed to be the one that brings that up.
But it's a big thing because I accepted responsibility for what I did, got out, and did what I had to do to bounce out of it. I own a home now, I have a decent paying job, paying the bills. Got engaged. Life is good. So but I accepted responsibility for what I did.
Yeah, you didn't come out of that experience and just go, man, screw the system. Like they screwed me. I did nothing wrong. Like,
right.
You sat there and reflected on it, and you learned, and that's what it should be.
It's about learning from mistakes. Not making the same mistakes twice.
That's not easy though.
And progressing.
That's not easy. It's not easy.
Oh
to do
no,
that.
It's not easy. It would have been easier to do the opposite.
Yes, fall back into what you did, and but so that's why it's like I think we're just kind of and this is I just thought of this. This is an interesting kind of dynamic. Is like look at how simple life is now. Look how easy it is now, and so we're so used to, especially with phones and technology and instant gratification. A whole generation. That's something we should talk about sometime. Is the whole instant gratification just completely destroying Gen Z's brain? Like, holy crap! I'm sure there's. I don't know for certain. I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to before we record next about their attention spans. I'm sure it's got to be just absolutely abysmal as a whole with phones and instant gratification and like all the stuff like that. But my point being is like we live in such a simple society where you can get something shipped from across the world to you in a matter of days.
Mm-hmm.
You can get groceries delivered to your home. Like you can do all these things so simple, so easy. So these moments where you take responsibility or the difficult thing of taking responsibility and having actual character like development and growth within yourself to then be a better person I feel like it seems that much harder than it did in the past because we're so used to instant stuff. We're like, hey, that's cool on Amazon, 24-hour delivery, thanks. And now it's like, oh man, it's so much easier just to blame XYZ on my issues. It's not my fault. Rather than sit there and go, you know what, I messed up. How can I learn from this? How can I get better? How can I progress and make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
I feel like it's partially because of that too.
No, 100%. I mean, we've talked about it in the past, like all the distractions now that exist that didn't exist before. Life's a lot easier. It's a lot simpler, but at the same time, it's a lot more complicated in different ways. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot more to juggle around in your mind than I feel like there was in the past.
Yeah. That's fair because we did talk about that before. How the
information overload. Everything's so fast.
How much of the population, like 50 years ago, was aware of the Middle East? Like exactly. What was going on there? Probably next to nobody.
Right.
So
nobody was stressing about what was going on in Iran or Iraq or whatever.
Yeah, and once again back to the social media and you're being fed through your algorithm. It's just
that could be. It's kind of a good thing though, because you're not worried about what's going on in your own country as much. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, you think? Like, is that because there's not as much to worry about in our country? Or is that because they don't want us to worry about what's going on in our country?
Well, that's interesting because if you look at a lot of the positive social change that's occurred in the country, it occurred in times that didn't have that social media and didn't have that ease of access of information being passed quickly. Still happened, but not to the degree it does now. And nobody can argue like because if you look the when information started to really disseminate through the population through countries was printing press, newspapers.
Mhm.
When that came around, you saw a huge skyrocket of people aware of what's going on outside of their town,
Their bubble, yeah.
their little area, whatever that was, town, city, 2 towns over. What like they were suddenly aware, like, oh, this is happening.
Right.
But I think the next step after that was the internet,
Mhm.
and I think they're kind of comparable, not quite, because I feel like what newspaper and printing press and what those allowed for was mass dissemination of important or big information. Like you're not going to read about the weather in some random country today. Like you wouldn't read about that. It wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't. Who cares?
Right.
It was not valuable information to be putting and spending the time and effort and resources to be printing that and sending it out. Now, you can look up literally anything about anywhere in the world that you want and find out in seconds, if not minutes. Just what it is.
Mhm.
So I think my point is a lot of our social revolutions happened, cultural revolutions happened when we were able to disseminate important information quickly, but not be burdened and bogged down by minute details and be overwhelmed by the amount of information that was being sent to us. So my point being, like, the civil rights movement was a big one.
Yep.
Civil rights movement, worker unions, you're looking industrial revolution around that era, like early 1900s with a lot of unionizing and stuff like that. Like all this stuff that progressively changed life, women's suffrage, like all that stuff that like made things move society forward was being disseminated at a quick rate with the newspaper and with stuff like that. But now we're not, like, there's no big social thing that's happening with with internet like that. You know, what's the big movement that's happening with the internet that's changing society?
Well, right now,
say,
you what I would argue is right now what's happening is we're worried about the same things, but on a global scale versus a scale like just within our country. You know, if you're talking about all the,
but does it
matter
to, like, does it matter for you or me to care about what's going on in those countries?
Remember, I asked that question. I was like, do we?
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
like should we be worried about everything that's going
Yeah.
on, or do they? So like it's a good question. That's. We've talked about it before on this podcast. It's kind of like a globalist worldview. You know what I mean? Should we be or should we be thinking about other countries and other people around the world and what they're dealing with? And should we be trying to help them, or should we not? And that's where this
to what degree
has progressed to.
As a citizen of the U.S. or as the U.S. country, like, as a whole?
I would just say as a human being to another human being. You know what I mean? Like, say, like, have we progressed as a world and as a species to the point where we should treat every person in the world like we would treat our neighbors or our family? Is that where humanity is progressing to?
Okay, that's an interesting take. Let me put a pin in that. I want to come back to that. Mm-hmm. Should we treat everyone like we treat our close circles, essentially, right?
I mean, that's what I feel like a lot of people are
trying to do
and like what they're thinking, Okay.
I want to differentiate what you said. I want to go back to what you said. Put a pin in that. I want to come back to that. When you said about should we really care, to what degree should we care, and kind of circle back to my question of like what big social change or movement or revolution is happening, like the civil rights movement with like that era versus now. Like there's no big social movement and justice here in our time with the internet to that degree that's happening. Now there's small little ones that people are trying to make into this big one.
Hold on. So you're saying that I feel like with all the, mass immigration and stuff, all these immigration laws are being passed because there are people who feel like there is a big issue in the world that they are trying to fix by allowing migrants to come into their country for a better life. So I feel like that's a big argument. That is a pretty big social issue right now.
You're right.
You know, and you said that. I forget what you just said.
But
that's like if you
point.
go back to like the social rights movement, I would say that there were probably people during that time who didn't think it was that big of an issue.
Oh yeah,
and there were people who thought it was a big issue. Yeah, you know what I mean. And eventually,
I guess what I'm trying to point out is like, I don't know if the internet necessarily makes it, and being that connected would make it easier to have or more difficult to have that social change like we had prior to the internet. So what I mean by that
is... You're saying the internet doesn't make it easier?
Yeah, I don't think it would. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the civil rights era, you had through news, print, phone, all the mediums, you had the important information of what was going on being disseminated. But you didn't have minute little things muddying what was going on.
Oh, I see.
You didn't have it being buried by like random miscellaneous things. And I think now what can happen with the internet is any big social issue that needs to change and tries to be disseminated through the internet is you can have like, I don't know, especially with AI and technology now, is you can have like so many like counterpoints just flooding the space. Kind of like with psyops, where it's like with a psyop, it's like, okay, prior to kind of the information age of internet stuff like that, prior to that, secrecy was the best way to kind of like hide psyop. Secrecy, and then sometimes misdirection, but mostly secrecy. Now it's like, I'm gonna be honest. If you showed me a video of an alien today with today's technology, especially AI, how good of videos it can make now, I don't think there's a single bit shred of video evidence that would convince me that there's an alien.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think there is. Like,
unless you saw it like in person.
Yeah, unless you see it in person. But like with the so we have this amazing power that can. I mean, well, I'm just saying, like
yeah. But if you went back and
go into Google and type up alien videos, and all the feed you get of hundreds and thousands of videos, and it's like, how like. You expect me to go through this and find like someone could very well post a real video of an alien and no one would know because we've reached an era where so much noise fills the space. So my point is like these big social movements that need to happen, I feel like it's more difficult to cause them to happen with the technology age we're in because there's so many tools now to run counter to that than there were in the past.
Interesting.
So if there is a big social thing that needs to happen, a big social change that needs to occur, it's more difficult to get that ball rolling than it was in the past.
I would say it's difficult in the United States with the freedom of speech and everything like that. I would say it wouldn't be difficult in North Korea.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could get it, because my focus was kind of more U.S.
No, 100%. But
now to the point. Now I think I've explained what I was thinking there better.
I agree with that for sure.
But to what you were saying was, should we care or not care? But should we be treating the people outside of those social circles, close circles, now that we're connected with them, as if they are in inner circles? That's an interesting question, I think.
I think that's where we are as a species now.
100%. You think trying to treat people like that is what?
I feel like that's what people are thinking about and worried about. Or some people.
Is actually treating them like that.
Yes.
Like that being the positive?
I feel like yeah. Sorry, hold on. I'm going to pause real quick because I'm being distracted by my daddy.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take some. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can get out of the tap.
Well, here.
Well, I'm going to be a little more social than Ethan and show the details behind the screen. I'm going to just do it right off the tap like that.
Oh, I had Jamie get me some.
James. Our Jamie James.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ethan's too good to pour his own beer.
Yeah.
So my point I was getting at was is I see what you're saying where like,
So-
now that we can treat people like that, should we?
Well, yeah, like let me get my thought back. So I said
go for
that
it.
I was saying that it seems like we're at a point now in society within humanity that we have started to worry about the well-being of people on the other side of the world, where that wasn't really a thing in the past. It was more so like you worried about your family, you worried maybe about like a couple neighbors, people you cared about.
Peasants
now
in
for
England didn't care about peasants in France.
Right. Now for like, because of, the connectedness that the internet has brought, we are now worried about people that we have nothing to do with, we've never met, and that's just interesting to me, and so I think just one of the cool things that points out is that people are just inherently, good and caring people for the most part. The majority of people, obviously, you're psycho and sociopaths, but you know what I mean? You see where I'm going? I mean, that was kind of what brought that thought on.
Well, this is where I don't know about you and me. I think we disagree on this.
Okay.
I'm more pessimistic about life and people.
Okay.
I think we're worse than that, and I don't think we're. I'm trying to think of which route I want to go with this. There's one route I can go that I think I want to talk about eventually, but not now. We're already pretty deep into the episode.
So why do you think then that there are countries that are bringing people over under the guise of they're looking for a better life? Let's give it to them.
I think that is a.
Is that just a political scheme?
Yeah, I think it's political scheme, but I think I think what they've done is there's like a few.
So, okay, hold on. If it's a political scheme, then why are politicians able to run on that and seem to gain traction from their followers? You know what I mean? Because it might be the politicians who are using it as a scheme, but there are people who agree with it and
suicidal
vote for
empathy. I mean, to summarize it, suicidal
like
empathy.
The general population are voting people in based on this.
Yeah. I think that plays into what we said earlier, where we live in an era where everything is so easy and everything sounds so nice and it's easy to sugarcoat things. I think a lot of people are divorced from reality of how brutal life is and can be, and so if you have two people, one person going, yes, these people are suffering, we need to help them, bring them in, we have plenty, give them some, and you have the other politician going, nah, fuck them. That's
America first.
Yeah, like that one's a bit more palatable than the other. Obviously, the second guy. No, I'm kidding. But
is that because of reality, or is that because we're also inherently selfish?
I think both can be true, but I don't. Well, it depends. I think. Man, that's a tough one.
I'd love a yacht, but I also love everybody to be able to eat.
Yeah, but also, well, okay, I don't like that analogy because that assumes that foregoing the yacht means everybody else can eat. But we live in a society in a flawed system where let's look at California, where it's like you throw more money, so take the money you were going to spend on the yacht, spend it on the homeless problem, and you're just going to get more homeless.
California's not spending money on giving food to people.
They're spending money on anything.
It's definitely not food.
But my point being is like that's assuming that if the analogy is yacht or everyone eat, that is in a incredibly optimistic worldview that there is no corruption that will hemorrhage those funds, that there's no one that you like. For example, you couldn't just go, instead of buying a yacht, I'm going to take this money and just go feed people. There's every step along the way of doing that, feed the people, is you've got to trust that the person you're working with is going to do what they're saying they're going to do, and that food, like for example, if you're like, instead of taking $1 million and buying a yacht or whatever the prices of the yacht is, take that and go, hey dude, feed these people. You got to trust that person you give the money to has the ability to disseminate that or take that money, spread it out, and actually get it to the people who need it to get the food. That's also then assuming that the people who then are going to get the money are going to buy the food with it. Like there's a lot of more steps. So let me explain it this way. The reason I'm so pessimistic is because my worldview is I believe that most people probably are good. But the ability to do good requires so many more steps and requires so much more energy than the ability to do evil and bad that it makes it so much more difficult to do good things and right things and correct things that we determine through our morals as right and correct than it is to do something bad and evil. It requires so many more hoops to jump through to feed all those people than it does to just go buy a yacht. Like it's
No, I mean, yeah.
I wish it was as simple as going to buy a yacht to go feeding all the people, like no world hunger. I wish it was that easy. But I think in the world we live in, the reality is it's so much harder to do good than it is not in your everyday life. I'm not saying like the average person, it goes around going, oh, it's so much harder for me to hold this door open than just like with these people. Like not those, but I'm talking about genuinely good programs that affect tons of people. It is so much harder to get those off the ground and operating and working and actually doing these things than it does to just go do the bad thing. Like I don't know. Like
no, I get what you're saying. You're 100% right. I guess what I was saying with that analogy is the fact that it seems like right now it's, at least with the economical issues and talking points that are going on within our political hemisphere, is it's capitalism versus socialism, right? So that's what's going on. You got your capitalists and you got your people who support whatever's going on in LA and, Zoran Mamdani, that's, and like that
continue with your point.
Democratic socialist movement is growing, right?
Yes.
So that's really what's going on. It's like socialism versus capitalism. And what my point was, is I like the idea of being able to work hard and achieve the ability to obtain a yacht or whatever I want, but also like the idea of, everybody being able to get at least the bare minimum of what they need to live comfortably. I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibilities with how society has progressed and where we are as a worldwide society. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So bring up what Elon Musk has said about, the universal high income once AI is, progressed to the point where jobs are no longer needed. You know what I mean? Have you heard them talk about that?
Yes, somewhat.
He just proposed the fact that people are worried about AI taking people's jobs. They're not going to be able to work. They're not going to be able to provide or, just live. And he's like, well, once AI takes over, resources and everything will be so abundant that people won't have to. So everybody's going to have a universal high income, not like a universal income, or kind of like what the socialism idea is. Yeah. It's like a universal high income. Everybody will be living and provided for at such a high level that nobody's even going to care. Is that a good thing or bad thing? Because even without AI, it seems like that would be possible.
I can't answer that.
You got like that's kind of like, I kind of like see why people get so frustrated with all like the billionaires.
Oh no, I see.
You know what I mean? Like I understand it, and I kind of like there are parts of me that agree with it.
I agree with parts of what they say. Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of their money isn't liquid. You know what I mean? Like they can't go out and buy something worth $1 billion. So you know what I mean?
I think where you're getting at, and if I'm wrong, correct me. But I think what you're getting at is I think you're getting at a distinction between realist and idealist.
Mm-hmm.
I think the socialism and all these people fighting against capitalism, I think fundamentally they're idealists, and they have this idea that basically everything can work better, and capitalism or these other people are standing in the way. And if we remove that, then everything can function. Everyone can have a universal basic income. Everyone can have this. Everyone can, because they're operating, in my opinion, they're operating from the perception that every single person shares their morals, shares their ideas, shares that sense of like, well, an explanation of it would be, their explanation of crime. They would explain crime not because of an individual, but because of circumstance. An idealist believes that the person commits a crime because of their circumstance. That's kind of what it is. But
there's some truth to that.
Well, no. There's truth, but that's not the truth. Like everything, there's a balance between the two. Idealism should be what we strive for.
Okay, so what is the truth?
I think the truth is somewhere between...
specifically with committing a crime.
The truth with committing a crime is
you committed a crime?
Huh? Yeah.
You committed a crime?
Yeah.
Okay. Because of circumstances that led you to commit that crime.
Not always. There are
sometimes.
There are people who are always just going to commit crime. Doesn't matter the circumstance they're in.
What about my crimes? I committed.
So what I'm explaining is the idealism versus realism. Is the idealism says that the person only commits the crime because of the circumstance they're in. If that was the case, every single person living under the poverty threshold would be a criminal. That's what it would be.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in the same circumstance, but some commit crime, some don't. But then they would extrapolate that further and go, well, because they're not in the exact same circumstance that people commit the crime. I guarantee you there's people who are in worse circumstances that don't commit the crime. My point being is idealism neglects to look at neglects to look at the reality of what's going on. I like it because it sets a goal. I think idealism is good because it sets us, let's shoot for that, knowing we're not going to hit it, but get as close as we can to it.
Mm-hmm.
Realists, I think this is why I think it's a balance between the two. I think the truth lies between the two.
There is a balance to it. It's too nuanced. Everything is too nuanced for anybody to be a realist.
Yeah, and
be realistic. It's kind of contradicts itself.
Well,
it's kind of like a
realist is the definition, because what it does is it basically I'm going to get a definition here because I'm going to butcher it if I just try to off the top of my head.
No, that's yeah. Do you?
Basically, they look at what goes on and they kind of, and the reason I
mean, being a realist, like I will say, it's important because it's important to understand the nuts and bolts of everything. It's important to understand, to have that ground.
Yeah.
But it's also, that's not always what it is.
Well, what happens with realism is realism often tends to lead to kind of like just accepting of where things are. Mm-hmm. That's just the way things are.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It can't be better.
It is what it is quote, dude, pisses me off so much, man. Like I hear that, I don't know, daily. I don't know if it's daily, but I hear that so much. Yeah. I'm like, no, dude, it's not what it is. It's what you make it, man. So like, it's like, that just pisses, like, so
yeah,
the whole realist.
That's why the two like the socialism and stuff like that is almost completely idealism, where they're like, it can be this. It just, communism wasn't tried right. We didn't do socialism right the first time. They messed up here. They messed up there. It can be perfect. And I understand the shooting for that goal, but they're foregoing looking at the the circumstances of where people are. There are always going to be people who cheat the system. There's always going to be greed. There's always going to be people who are takers, not givers. There's always going to be these people. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try to have strong social programs. That's where I lean more realist, but I like to have the idealist tendencies where I like to go, we can do better. Let's try to do better. But we can't let the trying to do better allow us to just kind of like completely go, oh, everything will be perfect. Everything will be great. You need to be grounded. You need to have the ideals, ground them. So my stance is, I
think we're on the same page about this. I think we agree on this. I think I might lean a little bit
You're more idealist
than a realist, but you're a little closer to the ground than I am.
It's just because it's like, to me, it's like you're always going to have the issues, the problems of human nature.
Sure.
It's just, it's inherently going to be there. So to have these, for example, like true communism, true socialism would be perfect.
Well, I think to your point, I'm agreeing with you in saying this, is once you get to that communism or socialism, like complete control over everything, is you no longer have idealists, because everything becomes realist perspective. This is the way it is. This is what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like there's no more freedom.
Yeah, there's no freedom to be idealist.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
So like the thing that is leading people down this, socialism road is going to end up with the complete lack of ideals.
Well, and this is where I want to separate. Like, this is where I kind of want to split from the right wing perspective of these socialists and these like the people who truly are idealists and they're believing in better and all this stuff like that.
Mhm.
I want to separate from them because I see a lot of the right condemning it and going, look at these horrible communists. They want this, they want that. They want to take your stuff and blah blah. I think what the right is doing, once again, it's identity politics, it's the division, it's all the stuff we described earlier in the episode. My point is I don't like what they do by caricaturing that side as evil or as corrupt or as they do it to.
It's different ideals.
It's different ideals, and I think it's an unchecked optimism. Basically, I'm a little nicer. I'm a little nicer than they are, and I go, you know what? I don't think the kids who are protesting whatever and walking for socialism and walking for equality and also that, I don't think they're doing it because they are like, oh yes, we love everything that's happened under every communist regime ever. We love all the deaths. We love all this. No, I think they're doing it, like we've been saying, because they're idealists. They have this better idea that they want to pursue and do, but they're not understanding what's holding that back and what has held it back in the past. And they don't give full credence to they're not grounded. They don't go, oh shoot, this doesn't work because people are inherently immoral and there's always going to be X% of the population that's just never going to play well with the rest. Like I can't say what percentages because I don't know. I mean, but X%. There's always going to be someone in the group that does not play along. So always will be. So, and unfortunately, that usually leads to the programs that you think will work failing. So, like for example, California. I mean, come on, like you're going to like. I understand. Like we need to fix the homeless problem. Great. Well, they just need more money and they need more resources.
I think California is different. I think California is completely corrupt.
Well, that's what I'm saying is you've got the people who are going to corrupt it. I don't doubt that there are people operating in California who want to fix the problem.
They don't.
I don't doubt that there are some people.
Oh,
as a whole,
yeah,
it's not going to work because you have those few people corrupting the system.
Well, see, I'm gonna say out of all the places, I think California probably has a majority of people in positions to where they can do something who are corrupt.
Yeah, my point being,
I don't think it's a small handful of corrupt people in that
California. My
situation.
My point isn't being California. My point being is like if they're like whenever you try to solve the homeless problem, you're going to have someone somewhere along the chain that's going to ruin it. Fix it, not ruin it. Like completely fix it. You're never going to hit 0% because you're always going to have someone somewhere mess it up. Regardless of how hard you try, how many resources you throw at it, someone somewhere is going to do something and it's going to screw it up. They're going to siphon money somewhere into a personal account. They're going to not allocate the resources correctly. Like there's something somewhere. Like we're never going to fix some problems.
AI could.
Oh man, that's not a debate I want to get into an hour into this. Yes, but with a big asterisk, a very big asterisk there.
What's the asterisk say?
Till next time. Like there's a huge asterisk. Yeah, you're not wrong. It could fix it.
It's all human error.
True. But it's just there's so many problems with it. I love the fact.
Well, yeah, there's problems with it right now.
Well, I was gonna say I love the
theoretically AI could.
Well, real quick before we get, I think next episode maybe should be AI. I don't know, it'd be interesting to talk about. But one thing I want to point out is like using AI now for like the past almost year. Holy crap, dude!
See, I don't use it that much.
I use it.
The extent to which I use it is like when I Google something, I look at AI mode.
I do that, but I also will just check AI on some things.
I'll use AI. I'm saying like
I use it to find data
instead of Google now. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I am deeply concerned that there are AI models, ChatGPT being one of them, that will go and give you information, and the source is www.reddit.com.
Oh, yeah.
That is deeply concerning. It will search the web, it will go to forums, and will take forum posts as if it is actual information and show you that information. And that is deeply concerning, especially when places like Reddit are known to become, and Twitter too, just on the opposite spectrum, opposite side of the spectrum, they are known to sit there and be echo chambers for certain opinions.
Sure.
So how can you go to that site and pull that information, give me that information, give me that source, and be like, this is what this means? And I'm like, oh my God, you spoke to an echo chamber, or you're pulling that from an echo chamber.
Yep.
So that's
like this is a big subject that we could, like you said, talk about for another like hour or two or for days. But there's this person I've met who is using AI to help him write books, right? I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but he has said that the AI has given him information about questions he has asked about like historical subject, right? He's writing history books. And he has responded to the AI's response and was like, no, you're wrong. Look at this or look up this. And the AI will go like, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, I was wrong. Here's this information. So yeah, so I mean, AI still has a long way to go.
I had AI tell me Charlie Kirk didn't die. I'm just,
yikes.
I mean, come on.
Really?
Like,
why? Tell me about that real quick.
So I was trying to find information about Tyler Robinson. We had talked about it. I don't think it was on an episode. I think we just talked about
what AI was it?
ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT is trash.
Yeah, I basically, and then I went into the Google Gemini, and it was basically kind of similar. It wasn't
show you a
identical,
picture of black Nazis.
Yeah, no, but we might have talked about this, might not, but as a refresher, basically it was like, because I was asking about Tyler Robinson because during the trial, because that's happened, it's still going on.
It's still going on.
Okay,
so
still going on.
The preliminary hearing's over. And I think it's going to actual trial.
Okay. So it was like right before the preliminaries when I was starting to look, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about like I saw a lot of people talking about like the 30-06 round and how they going through is all the stuff, graphic stuff. Basically, sure. They're saying like the court came out and the discovery or whatever was basically like they can't definitively tie the fragments of the round to the rifle he fired because there's not the truth is there's not enough of the bullet
round
fragments left to do that. They can't do it. They go, yes, we know it's a 30-06. Yes, the gun he's fired his caliber was a 30-06. We can't say it came from that gun because they're not, because what they do is they basically take the gun, fire a bunch of rounds through it, because every single gun that fires has like microscopic changes to differences, and you can basically go, this gun fired this round if you have enough of the round. They didn't have enough is inconclusive is what they said. So of course people were taking and running with that. They're like, oh, inconclusive, he didn't do it. Inconclusive. It's like, okay, it doesn't matter.
It was the mic.
Yeah. I was asking AI about it. I was talking about it. I said, okay, Tyler Robinson, blah blah. I was like, okay, explain, and I was like, explain to me what the Tyler Robinson 30-06 round shooting Charlie Kirk, like explain to me what's going on with that. And it said, it's highly unlikely that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk's probably he has not been killed. I was like, the shooting never happened. I was like, what are you talking about?
It was pulling information from some conspiracy theory that somebody said he's still alive.
No. Worse than that.
Oh God.
It wasn't even pulling information. It made an assumption because Charlie Kirk was a big political figure.
Mm-hmm.
It made the assumption that any footage you see that's highly controversial of political and big figures like that is fake.
How do you know it made that assumption?
That's what it said. Because I went back and asked.
Oh,
I said,
it assumed?
I said, I'm like, no, because I kept telling him, I'm like, no, Charlie Kirk did.
That's wild.
Charlie Kirk is dead. He goes, and the AI kept saying, no, he's not dead. He's not dead. This is, and so finally,
that probably ties into people who are trying to say the Trump assassination was faked.
Probably, but
That's
I had to go to CNN article about his death, like the day after.
Yeah,
give it to ChatGPT, and then it goes, oh, I was mistaken. He is deceased.
That's what I said.
Yeah, and then I was like, no, and then it glossed over. It's like, well, if you look at the bullet, I'm like, no, stop, go back. I'm like, why did you tell me he wasn't dead? And it basically like listed out all these explanations of like, well, the assumption I made to give you an answer quicker, to basically saying it only did that to give me better service. And I was like, I don't care about how quick you give me the answer. Give me the answer.
The right answer.
Yeah, give me the right answer. I was like, don't sit there and go, well, I can assume that it's a public figure. I can assume that there was controversial footage about it. I can assume the footage was fake. Therefore, he must not be dead. And I was like, oh my God. It took like 30 minutes where I was back and forth with ChatGPT about it.
That's insane. I would have put that same exact question into every other AI like you could find.
I still have the chat record. I should. We should do that.
Yeah, you should put it into Grok, Perplexity, Gemini.
It was crazy. And that's when I stopped and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is not good. I was like,
that's insane.
Because before, I'm going to be honest, I was relying on it for quite a bit before that. Now, most of the stuff I rely on AI for is
so I will say like
sifting through information.
ChatGPT is really good, like creatively. You know, like
they
like good for like photo editing, video editing, stuff like that. You know, Eliza uses it for like food recipes and stuff. She'll be like, I want to use this, and this. You're like, what's a good recipe? And it'll be like, boom, make this. Yeah, you know. So it's good for a bunch of random stuff, but I feel like. And here we're going down the rabbit hole, so I can't.
We'll close up.
We'll come back to AI, everybody.
Yeah, we'll close up with this. So I guess my final point, I wanted to summarize the episode. This was a very interesting one. We had a kind of overarching thing, but we kind of, I don't know, interesting topic. I'd say to summarize it, wrap it all up, put a nice little bow on it. So AI can give a quick summary for people. Yeah, the political division, I think, is a tool. It's definitely being used as a tool.
100% it is.
There's definitely a big conversation to be had about the idealism versus realism and where the truth lies in between that. I think it's important to have aspects of both, but not be constrained to just one, because then there's going to be shortcomings. Like let's say each can operate at 50%, but to hit 100% or 90% of functioning society, you need both to hit that. You need the dreamers, need the doers, basically, I guess. I don't know. Way to summarize it.
Yeah.
Kind of just,
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a different kind of thinking, but yeah.
Yeah. Like you need both to be able to get the full benefit of them. But, yeah.
You need the dreamers and the realists. Let's say that. Yeah. I won't say every realist is a doer, but I will say, you need the dreamers and the realists.
Yeah, those who strive to make the society
it's
better,
a good balance,
and around them and be like, hey, it can be better, but
it's a balance, and that's what America's all about, which is a good thing. And I feel like people need to not lose sight of that. That like not everybody has the right answer.
No,
you know what I mean.
The answer's not bound to one side.
No,
one side is not correct over the other in anything, really.
Yep.
Well,
I don't know. We could be full of shit.
Yeah.
Somebody might have the right answer.
Yeah. I don't know. There could be aliens, and we could actually see footage of it.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're people from a long lost, ancient, super advanced civilization that are living in the ocean.
We'll have to talk about that one next.
But also, I would just want to say real quick, because it ties in, is that it seems like with the whole them using it as all these things as a division tactic, like when you watch politicians, they don't seem quite as like worried or passionate about everything. They're just hitting talking points, so they're not really worried about it.
Yeah,
as much as I feel like the people who are listening to them are. You know what I mean? So is that because like they're not actually trying to fix it, or is that because they're all on the same page more than we think they are, and they're just dividing us? You know what I mean? Like, are the Democrats and Republicans like really working together more than we think they are, and just like, oh, we're going to tell them all this stuff. We're telling them we're doing all this, this, and this, and we're just going to, you know, sit back and collect a paycheck and insider trade and all this shit.
I think Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
No, I think Donald Trump is the one who's not doing that. That's why they tried to get him out of office so bad, and you know, this is a whole big campaign against him. But
you don't think Donald Trump and Joe Biden are hanging out playing poker?
No, I think Joe Biden's a lizard person. I think it's a mask. I think he died like a decade ago. I'm just kidding.
No, he means it. Anyway, yeah. Well, let's end it there. Joe Biden is a lizard person. I think that's a great way to end it.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for sticking it out with us. If you like, you know, what we're talking about, we post twice a week.
Yeah.
No. This, share, like, subscribe, press the buttons, do the things. You know what they are. We're in 2026 now. If you don't know what to do to show support for the channel, I don't really know how to help you. So, but yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys.